What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I seen that's how I was going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Definitely a sad situation. Got Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina has passed away from sudden illness. According to his office, he's 71. Like I said, definitely a sad situation. I'm not gonna lie. President Trump says pays tribute to Lindsey Graham after his death, calling him a true American patriot. President Trump wrote, Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the greatest people and senators I've ever known, is dead. He was always working and was a true American patriot. Lindsey will be greatly missed. Details and arrangements to follow. So sad, President Donald J. Trump. Like I said, it's definitely a sad situation. One thing about it, prayers go out to, his family, his friends and family, President Trump, everybody, it's like I said, it's definitely a sad situation. I'm not going to lie. Of losing somebody, and to the people that, is talking crazy and saying this and saying that and making fun of, regardless of your beliefs on what you believe in, who you support, this, that, and the other, still don't do that. That's something that you don't do, regardless of whoever you are, you know what I mean? Regardless of whoever you are. You got it right here. President Trump, speaking, on Graham. Check it out.
President Trump, thank you for joining us, and my condolences to you.
Well, thank you. He's a tough one to lose. He was great. He was unique in every way, actually.
He was, Mr. President, and I know that we are all just absorbing this news. We are all in shock. Can you tell us, Mr. President, how you received this news and your immediate gut reaction when you heard it?
So what makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s, and he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker, but he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done. I'll see you soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away. I said, I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me. It's very tough, actually. It's amazing.
Mr. President,
he was such an advocate. He was, if he wanted to get something, and he had a unique ability. He was able to deal with Democrats and Republicans. If I had a problem, a real problem, I wouldn't often ask. But if I had a problem with a Democrat, he could work it out. He was a great politician, actually.
And that's the end of that. I don't want people, you cut President Trump off. I feel like people forget that we are human, a creation of God. I feel like a lot of people aren't understanding that. People do have feelings, you have a lot of people that's talking about President Trump saying, oh, you don't care. I can tell just, by his voice, it messed him up. I can definitely tell that, it messed him up. And you can just tell. I feel like so many people forget that, and don't realize the simple fact of we all, we go through things, so people have to realize that, especially him saying, I don't know if that was his last call or the last, and it's just crazy on how it happened. It's definitely like I said, a sad situation. Definitely a sad situation. Got it right here. Fox News is in his final public remarks on Friday, Senator Lindsey Graham spoke, in Ukraine about ending the conflict with Russia.
I've never been more optimistic than I am today that we have the formula to end this war. Help Ukraine be more lethal. Let those supporting Russia to know it's going to be a price to be paid if you keep doing it. And to try to find an off-ramp, not to humiliate Putin, but to end this war so that Ukraine will thrive and survive. I've never been more.
And you know, seeing this and seeing the things that has been coming out, seeing what's going on, is truly wild. I definitely say it's truly wild. You have a post by Laura Loomer saying that Russia just, you know, more so of poison, you know, and it's again, a lot of things become pretty wild. It definitely, this post has, you know, it has gone up a lot, as y'all see. Says there seriously needs to be an investigation. And I definitely feel like it definitely needs to be. You know, I don't know about y'all, but I definitely feel like it needs to be when it comes down to it. Not only that, there's a post that has been going around social media, has been going around everywhere, based off of what's going on, again, with Candace Owens. Candace Owens has been pretty much a very much so she's been saying and doing a lot of things. You know, she has, her name has been around really this whole week and last week. You know, pretty hot. As Candace Owens was in Russia a couple weeks ago, telling Russian slate media that she would no longer deal with Lindsey Graham, trying to start new wars. A couple weeks later, says he suddenly passes away after visiting a drone facility in Ukraine. He was saying coincidence? They think not.
I'm not dealing with Congress. I'm not dealing with lobbying. I'm not dealing with any of this. I'm not dealing with Lindsey Graham calling for another war.
We are continuing to follow breaking news here at Live Now from Fox. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has died. That's according to a statement that was released on his social media platform on X. So take a look at this. So the statement says, at the office of U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina releasing the following statement, quote, on the evening of Saturday, July 11th, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period.
So, again, people say it's more of a stretch. You know, people saying that they need to be investigating when it comes down to Candace Owens. They need to be investigating what happened. Me personally, I definitely feel like there needs to be more so of an investigation when it comes down to it, regardless of them saying this, that, and the other. I truly feel like it because that is very odd when it comes down to it. Says the FBI is involved after Lindsey Graham's passing, but no indication of foul play, per federal law enforcement sources to Fox. Capital says the FBI is offering every resource available to local authorities. You know, and you know, like a lot of people say, you know, no indication of foul play doesn't mean there shouldn't be a full investigation. You know, and that transparency definitely matters.
So President Trump here at the White House earlier today had ordered that all flags across the country be lowered to half staff in support of the life of the late Senator Lindsey Graham. Now, we also know that it was early this morning that the senator's team, their official office, releasing that he had died of what they are calling a brief and sudden illness. The FBI are at Senator Graham's residence, although there is no indication of foul play according to the federal law enforcement. Earlier today, FBI Director Kash Patel said that the FBI would assist local authorities and make every resource available. So the Wall Street Journal reporting that emergency responders were dispatched to Graham's home last night and performed CPR on an individual suffering from cardiac arrest. 71-year-old Lindsey Graham was elected to the Senate more than 20 years ago. He was a loud voice in the Republican Party. He was also a close friend to Donald Trump. The two spoke just last night.
Definitely a sad situation, like I said, and I can tell that President Trump is definitely hurt by it. I can definitely tell. You have a post by Sarah Fields said, hope they do a toxicology, you know, on Lindsey Graham. And I definitely could say the same. You know, I definitely feel as if it is necessary to do that. I'm not gonna lie. You know, again, it's a lot of talk of this, that, and the other, but I do find it, you know, a little odd. I don't know about y'all, but I definitely find it a little odd, me personally. You have it here. Says Senator Mike Lee says the Senate GOP should immediately pass the Save America Act in honor of Lindsey Graham's final push being for the legislation. Let's check it out.
Lindsey Graham spent a lot of time with. Like me, he had a lot of enthusiasm for this bill, which I introduced in the Senate about 2.5 years ago. I believe, Maria, that there are multiple paths ahead by which we could pass this. Maybe that involves attaching it to another must-pass vehicle. Maybe it involves bringing it up on the floor and debating it until it passes, something that I've long advocated. Maybe it involves picking out pieces of it that could be implemented through creative uses of budget reconciliation. I'm not terribly partial to any of these three. I personally prefer the second. I think that would give us our best chance. But I will take any opportunity to debate this, any opportunity to cause it to become law, because the American people deserve it. The American people want it. Voters overwhelmingly support it to the tune of about 80%. That's Democrats and Republicans alike. One of the best ways we could honor Lindsey Graham's legacy would be to take this up and pass it this month.
Well, I mean, can you give us a little color of what the problem?
I can definitely, feel what they're saying right here. I can definitely feel what they're saying. I agree with what Mike Lee said. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. It's definitely, like I said, a sad situation. And I feel sorry for President Trump. Especially just speaking to somebody. Speaking to him, and then that happening. Like I said, you can definitely tell from his voice. You got Nancy Mace answers question on whether she'll run for late Senator Lindsey Graham's seat. Let's check out what she says here, y'all.
Longer term, he was on the ballot this fall. You ran for governor. Are you considering running for his seat eventually?
I would say right now, my focus is on South Carolina. I think we're all still just sitting here stunned and shocked that this has happened, and we're mourning his loss. I'm never going to shut the door. I love the state of South Carolina. You only live once, and if the people of South Carolina would like me to serve in that capacity, I'll certainly take a look at it. But right now, I just want to focus on him and his legacy, what he did for the state. He was sort of like, I always envisioned him that he would live to 100, that he would be serving South Carolina like Strom Thurmond for decades and bring home all the resources we would ever need, and then some, which is what he did in his career. And that's what we're focusing on right now, is his life, his legacy, his legend, as Trump so well aptly described this morning on all of his TV interviews.
Most definitely. You got President Trump lowering the flag to half, staff to honor Senator Lindsey Graham. Like I said, it's definitely, a sad situation. I'm not going to lie. And, prayers go out to his family, sending my love and my condolences, regardless of who you support, who you stand for, what you stand for when it comes down for what's best for America. Somebody losing their life and stuff like that, that's nothing that you sit there and talk about and be evil about, and that's just how I feel. You have so many people in the comments, so many people saying this, saying that, and, it's not right. It's truly not right. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Let me know y'all comments and thoughts on this. Catch y'all next one.